Most of these don't require parameters, which makes it a little bit easier. One of the features that I'm going to add after Blackhat to, or actually after DEF CON to GWT is something that will create a quick template for this RPC call so that you don't have to write it from scratch. It's not that big of a deal if you're calling within the same class and there are no parameters required, but if you have to start going and figuring out how to serialize and deserialize the objects that are being passed, it can get a little bit more complicated, but it won't be all that difficult to add it to GWT. Just ran out of time before the presentation. So let's call the say get trash, and just change this here to get trash. And this is the response just in what's essentially JSON format. There's actually specific deserializers for every class as well. So if we go back and say we want to look at, let's see, this won't work. Say, all right, this, shows support. Anyway, sorry, there's some links that I thought would be here that aren't. But basically, you can jump around and you can find the JavaScript methods that are used to deserialize and serialize all of the classes that are defined as well. That's something else that I need to add up there, just a link to that specific function. But I think you get the general idea. That basically, it provides summary information of the within the code in a format that's much more presentable to humans. All right. Hold on just a second. Did it again. Okay. Sorry, the demo took a little bit, didn't take as long as I thought it would be, so we have some extra time, but go ahead.
I just want to finish out by saying GWT is not evil, but one evil phrase. But your coding might be. Anytime you push something onto the client machine, you should assume it's there to control. Anytime I have your code, I can do what I want with it. Obfuscation can be reversed as shown, so don't rely on it. But since it does it anyways, there isn't actually any harm in doing it. And actually, to Google credit, it actually does increase performance. The obfuscation setting may be changed using the style flag past the GWT compiler. Use this for testing. Turn it back on for production. It'll save a lot of time. OBF is the default value. Pretty makes the code readable to a human, and detail sort of attempts to make it improve upon pretty. Think of RPC methods exactly like page requests. Each should validate the caller, the parameters, and data prior to telemetry. And finally, code that is not dead will be pushed out on into the JavaScript library. Don't leave code in the project that shouldn't be there, including and especially in debug code. It's really dangerous here because obviously, since it's going to be pushed out, it can come back to bite.
About the tool, we had some. It's not available for download today because we had a couple of hiccups at the last minute with our legal department, just in terms of making sure everything was kosher about licensing. So it's going to be uploaded to the TrustWave website this should be probably this weekend. We're both the source code and the executable. It's pretty straightforward to use. And I think that's about it.
By the way, on the tools website, there's also some other tools that have been written in the past, much along the same vein, especially around the Flex and other RIA apps. And there will be some more released, I'm sure, in the near future. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, it is. We're going to.
I think we'll just I think we're just going to post it on our website as well. Well, Blackhat will probably put it up on theirs also, I think. Any other questions? Go ahead. I'm sorry, what for private methods? Well, it's really okay. So, right, yeah. The question was regarding whether, basically about private methods within JavaScript where they weren't being converted from Java to JavaScript. JavaScript itself, at least the current versions that are implemented in browsers, doesn't support the concept of private members of a class. Everything is public, so there's really no way of translating with any reversibility into JavaScript. Additionally, from a security point of view, it really doesn't gain anything. I mean, you know, within a programming language, a private method is mostly for discipline purposes, to keep developers from monkeying with things they shouldn't. Even within Java, it's possible to bypass that using reflection. So it's I haven't spoken with anyone, you know, about that type of functionality, but I wouldn't expect to see that change just because of limitations within JavaScript. I'm not sure what YUI is, so. Okay. I'm not sure how, I don't know how they would implement that just because it's not within, JavaScript doesn't support that. So they might be able to mimic it, but it's not, JavaScript just doesn't support private members. It's not a feature of the language. Well, but I wouldn't really put in terms of safety. The comment was basically that it's safer than in JavaScript because there's no reflection. Once someone gets access to the code, even if it's in a binary form, like say if somebody gets a jar file, it doesn't matter if a method is private or not. You can always extract it. That's really not going to be an effective deterrent against cross-site scripting, though. I mean, it's basically the concept of member visibility within a class is strictly to enforce discipline on your developers. There's no security advantages to it at all. It's not. I would, you know, it's simply to make code more readable and developers more disciplined. That's about it. Anything else? Okay, thank you.